Director Vought, good to see you again. We worked on many occasions together. This is an appropriations hearing, and appropriations is driven by what we call top-line numbers, 302As and then 302Bs that flow down to the various subcommittees. But it begins with a budget. Where's the budget?
Well, it's great to see you again. We believe you have the budget.
We have a skinny budget.
You have the skinny budget, the discretionary budget in full, allows you to get the appropriations process moving forward. Our approach with regard to the rest of what you would see in a full year comprehensive budget is that we've been focused on reconciliation. And so every aspect of what we've been trying to do has been to further that bill, to get it to the president's desk, and then we will come along afterwards with any supplementary information, proposals, deficit pictures. But we thought it would, at the end of the day, confuse the Congress and confuse the American people to have two sets of proposals, two sets of numbers, and that's one of the reasons that we are focusing on reconciliation. Understand the job that you've had to do, and we wanted to get you material as soon as we possibly could. Worked with Chairman Cole as early and often as I could, have not actually not come and talked with the Cardinals at every opportunity. We very much want to work with this committee.
So I think we all have a shared goal of putting the fiscal house of this nation in order. I certainly do, and I've been working toward that, albeit unsuccessfully, since I chaired the Joint Select Committee on Budget Process Reform, and we can come back to that if I have time. But the total outlays of the federal government in general, for those that are watching this hearing, that are going to read excerpts from this hearing, what are the total outlays of this nation? From
$7 trillion around?
Around $7 trillion. And we're going to receive income in various forms to the amount of about what?
$5 trillion.
About $5 trillion. A little less than 7, a little less than 5, maybe thereabouts when we look at the 25 numbers. But the last set of numbers we have is, I think, in 2024. Of that $7 trillion in outlays, how much of that is actually under the purview of this committee?
About a third.
About a third. So we're looking at about a 30 to 33, 34, 35% slice of that federal. But the rest of it is what we call mandatory spending. Is that right?
Correct.
And how is mandatory spending broken down?
Mandatory spending is broken down on all of the programs that are set in law. And so, you know, they are not, with very few exceptions that go through your committee, like food stamps or Medicaid, that are considered appropriated entitlements. The authorizers set the law, and the people who are benefiting from those laws can come to the federal agencies and receive their benefits.
So only Congress can really change that through its lawmaking process.
Correct.
Is that correct? And of that roughly $5 trillion of mandatory spending, thereabouts, how much of that is the net interest on the debt?
Net interest on the debt is about $1 trillion now. It's exceeded defense. When we left office, unfortunately, it was only $300 billion, still far too high. But in the last 4 years, we've gone from about $350 billion in annual net interest, and now we're upwards of $1 trillion.
And it's because we have a debt of about $37-ish trillion, right? What would like a 50 basis point move in the interest rate, and I would suspect that's very prospectful, given the fact that we were just downgraded by the third rating agency. What would that do to the net interest on a $37 trillion debt if we moved like 50 basis points?
We're probably talking about $1 trillion swing there.
When are we going to deal with mandatory spending? And I'm not talking about cuts, I'm talking about sustainability, because we've all said, and we've pretty much all agreed that we want to make sure that we honor the promises that we've made to older Americans and vulnerable Americans. But right now, the effort is only on the discretionary budget of the U.S. government. It's about 33% of total spending. So at what point in time will we see a plan and a strategy for which we really go after and fix the largest share of the federal spending that is the crux of the national deficit that we have today.
You know, we believe that we're doing that with this bill that you have passed out of the House. And one of the reasons we're so excited about it is that for the first time since 1990s, we are talking about trillions of dollars with regard to mandatory savers. $1.7 trillion now is an enormous opportunity and first step along the lines of what you're talking about and what we've proposed in budgets before. So I think it's, you know, for those that are saying, where are the Doge cuts? That's not a reconciliation thing. For those that are saying, where are the mandatory reforms? That is in that bill, and we believe it's the first major conversation like this we've had since the 1990s. We will have more proposals as we go forward. You know, the president wants to have a balanced budget. 3 out of our 4 budgets in the first term were aimed at budget, had that as a goal, and we had large mandatory savers in those budgets that were consistent with the president's promises to protect Social Security and Medicare, and we will continue to have reforms along those lines.
Thank you very much. I yield. You got a tough job. You inherited an absolute mess, a mess that's been created over decades, not just one administration, but many. It's because Congress can't say no. But we've seen the big, beautiful bill slammed in here in this hearing today. I want to give you a second to tell us what's going to happen if H.R. 1 fails, if whatever comes back from the Senate fails to get to the desk of the president and signed into law. What happens at the end of this year?
I think we'll have a recession. I think we will be, economic storm clouds will be very dark. I think we'll have a 60% tax increase on the American people. And just to, if I could answer Congressman Hoyer's question or statement, the notion that this bill, I mean, we've been actually criticized unfairly for, on the reconciliation bill for the fact that it is all mandatory savers. I mean, you said, look, we need to address the mandatory side of the House. There's $1.7 trillion in mandatory savers on the reconciliation bill. Do we need to do things on the appropriation side, the discretionary side? Yes, that's what we're here to talk about with rescissions and the bill that we've, the budget that we've sent up to you. But we have to get back to what we did in 1997, where we had, for the first time, substantial mandatory reforms around not just cutting people and just getting people off programs, but reforms, a work requirement. We're using the same model that Bill Clinton signed into law, and we think it will have incredible impact on not just these programs, but giving people dignity of work. And we're not going to be ashamed by that, but we do need to explain ourselves to those that are being impacted by the watchdogs in this town that honestly don't have an incentive to get a bill done. They have chosen how they want to frame bills, and I think they're inaccurate.
I appreciate your response.